Our alabaster girl that we all hold and cherish inside of us is a compilation of all the traits that we desire in women. She might be vaguely similar to our mother, or she might not. She might be what we remember from a childhood encounter, like Nabokov's description of the long ago childhood vision of Annabelle in his book Lolita. Plato also talked about the idea of a perfect chair that we all have in our consciousness. We all know what it means, but none of us have ever seen. We have all seen chairs, of course. But what is the one perfect ideal version of a chair? We don't know. We have only seen approximations of it. In other words, we have only seen chairs with varying degrees of chairness, nothing that is the ideal chair or our ideal woman. Whatever your vision, and none of us have the same vision, understand this: you will never find her. It is a search without end. Your alabaster girl that you desire so intensely that would make the world feel whole again, that would make you feel whole again, that would make you believe in love again, is forever out of your reach. Over and over again, time after time, we might think we have found her. Every girl we encounter throughout our lives, our latest new girlfriend or lover, the pretty girl we saw in the bookstore, the girl dancing so seductively on the speakers at the club, the girl across the room. We compare every girl to this image inside of us of our alabaster girl. We squint and we scrutinize and we say, wow, this is her. I finally found her. In our eagerness to convince ourselves that this new woman in our life is indeed our ideal woman, we overlook everything about her that doesn't quite sync with that image. That's the problem, because inevitably over time, we come to realize that this latest obsession of ours is really just a woman replete with false fears, insecurities. It has been well said that the things you absolutely love about her when you first fall in love, that you're blinded to, are the things that annoy you later. You might have liked her independence. Then later you can't stand her independence. You might have loved the fact that she was fun to take to parties. But later you hate that she still wants to go to parties with or without you. You might be delighted by the fact that she likes to laugh and have fun a lot. Later, you wonder, why can't you just be serious for once? You see, when the realization hits that she is not what we had made her out to be, that she is not our alabaster girl, we men deal with it in a lot of different ways. Some men settle and quietly, dejectedly soldier on. They go out and have a beer with their buddies while she watches her soaps. They go quietly back and forth and carry on with their unremarkable lives. Some men get angry and take it out on her, either through neglect or verbal abuse or violence. It is not her fault that she is not what you envisioned her to be, and yet they blame her and thereafter seek to punish her. But then there are the men, few in number, who recognize the futile nature of that search, who realize they will never obtain their cherished alabaster girl. And yet they still embrace this wonderful, beautiful, but flawed woman who loves them, who's in his life, realizing that even though she is not her, they are not settling at all. And so they accept her for who she is, love her, and never get angry or disappointed at her for not being able to live up to this impossible ideal. And this has a quiet beauty to it. The answer we seek can never be found in a woman. You know, guys, concluding this section, we're successful in business. We're captains of industry. And yet we feel more and more lost when it comes to discovering what is expected of us in the land of women. Gaining even a small understanding of this shifting dynamic will allow you to stand back somewhat, examine the way of men today, and rediscover your place as a man. What is love? Can anyone really answer that question? If you are in love, what is it that you're in love with? Her? Or the idea of her? Her goodness? Or your perception of her goodness? Do you love her for her and all her beauty? Or do you love her because of what she does for you? As we know, love masquerades as many things. But is there such a thing as true, lasting love? I'll tell you what. I'll define love, and you think about whether or not you agree. Okay, here goes. Love is that feeling you get when you meet the right girl. Do you agree? Is love really a pleasant sensation that magically and spontaneously generates when she appears? You know, butterflies in the stomach, that euphoric loss of sensibility, that exquisite madness that takes over all our senses. If that's real, and love is a feeling, then true love is new love. The problem with this notion that love is the way someone makes us feel is that a feeling comes and a feeling may go. But this is how most of us approach a relationship. We get together and make all kinds of long-term promises to each other because of a feeling. Now, it's true that this feeling is one of the most exhilarating and exciting feelings you can ever experience in life. In fact, the intensity of our feelings and attraction for each other is usually construed as proof of the intensity of our love. How true it is. I really, really like her. I'm in love with her. It must be true love. If you let a girl know that you like her, it is very direct and very unusual. And frankly, it's quite refreshing for her. She will usually ask you something like, "Why do you say you like me so much? You just met me and you don't know anything about me." When that happens, say, "I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out for myself. I don't know what it is about you. I have lots of girlfriends. I just can't keep my eyes off you. I know I can't give you what you want and deserve. That guy can. All I know is that I feel better when you're around." And so we set out together arm in arm with high hopes, feeling so much love and euphoria for each other, for the newness of it all, delirious, crazily in love with each other. And it's good. But inevitably, life, as life does, bears down on us. And the miracle of love slowly fades as disappointments, routine, and boredom begin to encroach. Eventually, we might even feel that the magic just isn't there anymore. We know this is true because everywhere we look, we see broken marriages, broken hearts, broken dreams. Every single one of those broken relationships began just like I described. They thought this time would be different. This was the one. Intentions are still noble. Dreams are still dreamy. Happily ever after is still the story we all still desire. It's amazing how regularly our relationships crash on the rocks. In fact, can you imagine any other enterprise of humanity that is undertaken with such spectacular optimism? If we failed as regularly in business as we do in love, we would stand back, shake our head and say, "Okay, something's not working." But in affairs of the heart, we repeat the same cycles over and over again. It's because we think we know what we want. Us men, you know, we see a guy who is rich or famous with a hot girl on his arm, and we think, "I want one of those. That's what I want." Well, there are plenty of rich, successful men in this world with a trophy girl on their arm, a girl who pretends that she likes him, but she really only tolerates him. Or worse, can't stand him. Yeah, a guy like that might have a hot babe, but he is missing something fundamental, something he desperately craves, and he knows it. He knows he's missing something, and it hurts him. This is because we convince ourselves that when we finally have a girl like that in our life, our vision of the perfect woman, we will be head over heels in love. Then, finally, we will be happy. Then, we will stay with that girl forever once we land her. Then, we will marry that one. Then, we will be in love. And why wouldn't we be? We have the girl we have always dreamed about. This is what we think love is. We think that we want that special someone, that perfect someone, that ideal, but oh so elusive woman. A woman whose physical qualities we like. A woman who is sexy, killer body, great in bed. A cover girl. You know, we look in a magazine at one of those pristine girls, airbrushed to an almost surreal perfection, and we say, wow, I want one of those for my birthday. Then I'll be happy. Then finally I'll be happy. But the truth is, and this is going to sound strange, and you might even disagree, the truth is, we don't really want that at all. That will not make us happy. Well, then what do we mean when we talk of love? Do we mean to have someone like that in our life? No. We mean only one thing: to be loved, to be accepted as we are. That's what that rich guy is craving. All of our discontent in affairs of the heart is really just a longing for someone to desire us, for someone to find us lovable, to be in this cold, gray, dismal world of so little caring. Finally, lovable. That's all we want. You see, to be loved is a fundamental need of human nature. You can have the prettiest girl in the world at your side. It gets miserable really fast if there's no spark, no chemistry, no passion, no attraction, no mutual respect. If she doesn't endlessly amuse you, if she doesn't adore you, your relationship can only be one of emptiness and loneliness. Every passionate relationship began passionately. As Shakespeare wrote, "Whoever loved, that loved not at first sight." Falling in love is that euphoric loss of sensibility, that exquisite madness that takes over all our senses. It is a form of madness. It's like seeing a miracle that no one else can see. It's like building a hut on an island over there and all your friends are going, "What are you doing?" You understand, but they don't understand. You can see it, they can't. That's what falling in love is like. The feeling described by the greatest Italian poet, Dante, he described it. He was the one who wrote the Divine Comedy, and he also wrote a book called La Vita Nuova. In it, he describes first setting eyes on a girl named Beatrice. He would go on to love her for the rest of his life. And here's what he wrote about the first time he saw her. Keep in mind, this is written in the year 1302. He wrote, "She was dressed in a very noble color, a delicate crimson, tied with a girdle and trimmed in a manner suitable to her tender age. She was called Beatrice by many who did not know what it meant to call her this. The moment I saw her, I say, in all truth, that the vital spirit, which dwells in the inmost depths of the heart, began to tremble so violently that I felt the vibration alarmingly in all my pulses, even the weakest of them. As it trembled, it uttered these words, 'Behold a God more powerful than I, who comes to rule over me.'" That's falling in love. Every passionate relationship began passionate. You know, we spend a fortune hoping to achieve that state of being lovable. We look for it in a pill, or a lotion, or a gym. Men concentrate on success, on wealth and power. By attaining these things, they believe they can be more lovable. Women concentrate on being more attractive, more desirable physically. It is all for just one thing, for one goal, to make us more lovable to the opposite sex. But no matter what we do, we can't seem to find some measure of acceptance of ourselves and who we are. That fundamental longing in our soul is what has fueled every endeavor of man. There is no question that love, in all its various guises, is the world's most powerful emotion, inspiring, for instance, all the great poems, great, incredible works of art, everything from Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata to the Taj Mahal. Wars have been fought because of love. Knights lived and died by the code of chivalry, that so-called courtly love, love of the lady, the ideal of her. And you might be thinking, yeah, whatever, Zan. I just want to pick up hot chicks. Easy for you to say, I just want to get laid. I'll take that rich guy's girl, thanks. I'll try and find happiness later. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. What you will discover, though, is that the better you get with women, the less you need them. the less you need validation for yourself as a man. And the less you need women, the more women you will have. The better you get with women, the less you will feel the need to prove it to other guys. The things you think you've always wanted are not what you really want at all. The girl you think you want in your life that will create happiness in you is just a girl. I mean that in a good way. I mean that it isn't fair to project that onto her, to demand of her that she makes you happy. It's too much to ask of anyone. That's why our relationships die right and left. You know, you're listening to my talk for a reason. You bought this DVD for a reason. We think it's about women, but this has never been about women. This has never been about other men. This has always been about rediscovering your soul and regaining a former clarity. As you become more centered in yourself, you get a purpose in life that isn't her. Slowly it begins to dawn on you that the answer you seek can never be found in a woman. Well, that's my little discourse on love. I believe in love, guys. I'm a romantic. Love at first sight is in our very nature. We can't help it. It's the way we are built. It is now known that across all cultures, ancient and modern, the South Sea Islands, Japan, China, India, Polynesia, Africa, Canada, love at first sight is a natural human condition. By simply looking at someone for the first time, some feeling at the center of our being can be triggered. Every passionate relationship began passionately. The problem arises when we expect that feeling to last forever and build lifetimes around it. So what is love? Well, maybe love is the ability and willingness to allow her to be what she chooses to be for herself. To just be beautiful, to be the beauty, without any insistence that she satisfies you. How do you stay out of the let's just be friends zone? I basically tell her straight out, I'm not that guy. I tell her right off the bat that I'm different than other men she has met. I also tell her that I'm one of the most honest men she's ever met. Honest with myself and honest with her. I know who I am and what I like. I tell her I will not lie to her to get her into bed. However, I don't view her as just a friend. I have every intention of taking this further. And if she wants something else, I tell her I have the highest respect for her. And it's too bad because you're cute. We could have had some fun together. I tell her that as I move through this life, I seek to maximize my experiences and the experience of those around me. I tell her that I have no intention of having a non-romantic relationship with her, straight up. If she chooses not to stay, I understand. Not every girl wants the same thing as you. But all of them will say this. They'll say something to the effect of how refreshing it is to hear. And they accept it with no judgment. It is amazing because when you approach a girl with this kind of honesty and directness, there is no such thing as a last-minute resistance or wait 3 months before sex or bitterness or feeling like you deceived her. She knew. And by staying around for 1 minute longer with you after you told her what she's going to experience, she is complicit in her own seduction. Women love it. All right, so let's imagine for a minute that you have discovered, approached, and attracted into your life the girl of your dreams. The one, if you will. Someone who takes your breath away. And happily, it's reciprocal. She really likes you too. The two of you are inseparable, excited by one another, and feel like you've known each other forever. You can't stop thinking about her, and you might even feel that you are in love. And so you embark on this journey of life together. Now what? How do you manage the relationship? How do you maintain it? The age-old question, how do you keep the love alive? Unfortunately, relationships today, modern relationships, almost always follow the same typical and predictable path. They have a life cycle that repeats itself over and over again. Now, I have identified 7 distinct stages that I think virtually every relationship goes through. Stage 1, They meet and start to date. As the man and woman start to spend more and more time together, they begin to desire exclusivity with each other. They are dating each other, spending a lot of time together, really starting to enjoy each other in stage 1. And they both want to move on to stage 2. Stage 2 is the point where a guy and a girl start to refer to each other as boyfriend and girlfriend. They stop seeing other people. And this is either directly agreed upon, let's stop seeing other people, or it is tacitly agreed and quietly understood. Either way, they are both under the impression that they are exclusive with each other in stage 2. Stage 3 comes along next. This is the stage several months or years down the road when they are completely comfortable with each other. They're happy together. They do a lot of fun and exciting things together. They have wonderful communication, great sex. They go for drinks. They know each other so well. They start to merge their friends, etc. This is that euphoric time when the typical relationship is the most blissful. And they're very, very much in love. Stage 3. Stage 4 comes along, and this is the stage where they settle into the routine of daily life. They are very comfortable with each other, and they know each other so very well. They have their ups and downs, of course, the normal vicissitudes of life. They go to their separate jobs, they attend their various classes. She has coffee with her girlfriends, he watches football with his buddies. Normal life. But routine is starting to settle in. In this stage, they start to long for the days of stage 3, when they had more time to spend together, when they did fun and exciting things together, before they got bogged down with routine and bills and general life. It seems like their focus is no longer directed in towards them and their plans together. There is a quiet unrest that is starting to simmer underneath. This is the stage where they start to say things like, where are we going to be in 5 years? They start to question what it is they really want. And this is the stage where they say to each other, we need to take more time for each other. Seems like we're too busy to do things together anymore. So they decide to do something like have a date night once a week. Stage 4. Stage 5 comes along when they realize that all their best intentions about communicating more, having a date night, etc., are not really working. They have the intention, the desire, but daily life gets in the way. And so they both get more and more frustrated. Sex is happening less and less often. And when it does happen, it is dispassionate, unremarkable, uninspired. Now they're starting to resent each other somewhat. And they're surprised that the traits that they really liked in each other at the beginning are now the very things that annoy them the most now. This is the stage where they cast about looking for relief. This is where affairs are usually introduced. Stage 5. The next stage, stage 6, is where it starts to get a little more nasty. This is where accusations start to fly. At this point, one of them is usually extremely bitter and confrontational, and the other one is becoming more and more apathetic. He or she simply doesn't care anymore. This is a critical stage. Stage 6. Can the relationship be restored? Good question. Stage 7. Make or break time. This is the stage where they separate. They are still technically connected, but taking a break. Everything is drastic, and drastic measures are taken. They may try to get back together, but only when one insists they need counseling, etc. They go back and forth, sad and hurt, until they ultimately either end it or shakily get back together and then try again. That is how relationships naturally progress today. That's 7 stages. It is so predictable and recurring that it is amazing we are so optimistic going in to begin with. And yet, even though we see this happen time and time again in the relationships of people we know, as well as our own relationships, we still hope for the best and do it all over again with the next one. We have, of course, in the tales of King Arthur, the fable of Sir Gawain, renowned by women far and wide for his skill at bluff-talking. An ill-fated attempt to explain what women desire most forces King Arthur, under duress, to promise the hand of Sir Gawain in marriage to the loathly Dame Ragnell. Well, that night, the ever-valiant and loyal Gawain leads her to the bridal chamber, and when asked, obliges her by kissing her fully and adoringly on her hideous lips. He did it as a favor to King Arthur and for the kingdom. So he marries this Dame Ragnell, and then she's hideous, but he does it anyway, and she asks for a kiss, and he gives it to her. He is then amazed to see her magically transformed into the form of a truly beautiful woman. This is in the evening, and she explains, "Know, sir, that I have been under an enchantment, forever condemned to form most vile, an enchantment only to be broken when a man was found willing to wed with me, with no thought for my ugly form. You have broken the spell. There is, however, another choice you must make, mine husband, for the enchantment to be truly broken. For the rest of your life, you will have to decide if you will have me fair by night, for you alone, and foul by day, or will you have me foul by night and fair by day for all your friends? The choice is yours." Lady, Gawain replied, "There is but one answer to be given. The choice must be yours." At which point she cried, "Husband, you have truly broken the spell. I am now able to fully choose whether to be fair or foul. I choose to be only and always fair for you. For you have given to me what every woman, indeed, husband, every man as well, desires most, the right to choose for myself who and what I am to be." You know, when you're with someone, there's only a very short time when you can really give each other things for free, with neither of you having to ask. Because later on, all you do is make demands of each other. Perhaps the only difference between her and all the rest in the beginning is that she's asking you for nothing. So, how do we do it better? Is there a better way? How do you avoid that dismal mess? It's difficult, but it's all in how you set it up initially. You know, you always hear people say that you have to be happy with yourself before you can be happy with someone else. Well, that's true. But it's also true that experiences in life are amplified once shared. Society has created this cycle that all relationships seem to follow. It has these restrictions of the way it should be on all sides, like a box. It should begin in this way. You need to have make these sorts of promises to each other, and it needs to be understood or stated that this is forever. We start with a feeling, and we head way over there into the future. This is the framework that society expects of us. It is the framework our friends, family, our education, the media expect of us. And invariably, it degrades to what I just described. My take on relationships is this. In my mind, a relationship should never be constructed. It should never be examined, never be analyzed. It should never get to the point where we ask, where are we going to be in 5 years? It should be pure and beautiful and natural in its own right, without having to be propped up and without having to work on the relationship. It's like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle from physics. It applies to relationships. It states that the moment you attempt to examine something, you change it. In a relationship, as soon as you question where it is going or what the plan is, you change it. And you both need to understand that from the very beginning. If you are with a wonderful girl right now that you adore, never should you say to her, okay, now this is what I expect from you going forward. Or, you must be a certain way, forever. Or now, you need to behave more like whatever. The only thing you should ever say to her is, I had a wonderful time with you today, and I want to see you again tomorrow. That's it. And who knows? I think if you can relax in your relationship and just let it flow, only then is it possible for the two of you to be together forever. Only then. You shouldn't analyze it, but you should be amazed by it no matter how long it lasts. That's just me. Others might need a bit more structure and comfort. One thing is for sure, having to work on a relationship is the death knell of it, as far as I'm concerned. What unfathomable loss of love and freshness, loss of redemption, loss of passion, loss of everything I consider to be good is contained in that phrase. Work on the relationship. But, you say, relationships are work. They are, after all, a sublime compromise, a willingness to see ourselves reflected and fulfilled in the desires and dreams of our wonderful companion. This is absolutely correct, and the way it should be. But it doesn't happen very often. Rarely do relationships, traditional relationships, find this equilibrium, this ideal. You know what I mean? We talk about how it is a shared responsibility, a 50-50 compromise. And we talk of the need to work out our issues. And then, when faced with the last ragged edge of our discontent, to seek counseling. Wrong! Wrong! I'll tell you the secret of a long-lasting relationship. Me, the seducer. Here's the secret. If you get together with a girl, and you get married or whatever, and you get caught up in the routines of life without examining your soul, your relationship will fail. In other words, if you go to work every day, come home every day, watch the same television shows every day, mow the lawn on the weekend, and then start it all over again the next week, and never seek to become a more excellent person, the notion of self-discovery and improvement, your relationship will fail. If you never explore the beauty of her and seek to understand her, it will fail. If you never listen, really listen to her, it will fail. We think that what is important to get ahead, to get a bigger house, to acquire more things, to fill our lives with activities because we don't ever want to be caught doing nothing. We think that's important. If you do this, take your kids to soccer, go to a restaurant, have your date night or whatever, and the two of you are not on some kind of spiritual journey together, your relationship will fail. And by spiritual, I mean that in the broadest sense of the term. I mean the two of you are seeking to understand each other and yourselves and your place in this world as best you can. It can only last if the two of you are seeking to become more excellent in life. If you don't do this, your relationship will fail. We all know of couples that have stayed together for many years. A lot of times these couples are not really still in love. They sleepwalk through their lives. They have just given up. They have settled. Dregs settle in your glass of wine. Occasionally, however, you will find a couple that has been together a long time and they are still crazy about each other. Could be your grandparents. It's rare, but it happens. If you ask them about it, though, they will always say, it hasn't always been good. There have been times of severe trouble, but we worked through it. We stayed the course, and we are better for it today. This is because they have discovered one thing. Love is not a feeling, a pleasant sensation. Love is an art. Love is an art, just like living is an art. And as such, it requires theory, skill, and practice. To a true seducer, a lover of women, relationships never end. Think about that for a second. A true seducer realizes this. He is connected to the women in his life forever. There is no animosity. There are no hard feelings. His relationship with her never ends. Sure, he might not be with her physically throughout her life, but he has touched her so profoundly that she will always carry him around in her heart. How is this possible? How is it that the women he has had relationships with love him forever and are his biggest defenders? Isn't it true that when a relationship ends, it ends badly? Not necessarily. See, a woman is a butterfly that landed on your hand. You must be very still and enjoy it as long as you can before she flies away. You need to recognize that you've been blessed with her presence. You need to delight in that butterfly. And it is very important that you curl your hand up slightly to kick the wind off her. Women want to be protected. They want to rest there for a while knowing they're safe and knowing they're wanted there. Will she eventually fly away? Possibly. Because people change and grow. People need different things in different stages of their lives. And so you need to keep your hand very still and admire that little butterfly for as long as she stays. And she may stay for the rest of your life. It's up to you, actually. She will stay there as long as you remain fascinated by her. The moment you take your eyes off her and get distracted, she will notice. And if you do this long enough, she will eventually fly away. Most men can't stand the fact that she might fly away someday, and so they attempt to hold her fast. They close their hand around her to keep her at all costs, to restrict her movement, so she can barely breathe anymore. This is jealousy, and it will cause her to struggle to get away. A woman must be free to leave. Only then will she stay. You know, women will move in and out of your life. Cherish them when they come in, and cherish them when they go out. I never have bad breakups. I miss every girl I've ever been with. And they will never say a bad word about you, even long after you're no longer a couple. Long after you're no longer together. How is this possible? Because you gave her room to breathe. To be together apart. You respected her that much. Women will only say bad things about you, will only feel disappointed in you, and will only feel cheated if they thought you promised something to them that you didn't deliver. If you promised her forever and you didn't deliver it, she will resent you. If you are honest from the outset about the way that you approach life and loving and relationships, she will never feel cheated if it ends. She will defend you forever because she understands you, and you didn't lie to her. And the concept of breaking up, what a thought. You know, I am always struck that in this world of so little caring, it's an unbelievably profound thing to tell someone who loves you, who really cares about you, who would be really sad if you were hurt or hungry or lost, to stop caring for you, to go away. Please leave my life. Please stop caring about me. What a thing to do. You know, you will come to a point in your journey when you will realize the following. A woman can come into your life and become your muse and your source of inspiration, a beauty that colors everything you do. Then someday, that same woman may slip away from you. You will both be sad, and you will miss each other terribly. But the memory of the beauty she infused into your life will never be overshadowed by the cloud of a deteriorating relationship. And that is a profound and beautiful realization. Once you get to that point in your life when you can gently let go of a beautiful woman, all things are possible with women. And you will have become that honest, loving, desirable seducer that all women secretly admire and crave. You know, a lot of people advocate open relationships, that we are culturally conditioned with unrealistic expectations of monogamy. After all, sex and love are two different things. And we should never allow our strong bond, our relationship, to be destroyed by a simple biological act, our sex drive. Sex is just gymnastics. It shouldn't kill your love for one another. Well, that works great in theory, but it's far more difficult in practice. This is because no matter how enlightened we think we are, most of us experience some modicum of jealousy if our spouse or our lover has a sexual relationship with someone else. I think it is crucial to understand what jealousy is and what it is about. Jealousy is about fear. Fear of the unknown and of change. Fear of losing power or control in a relationship. Fear of scarcity and of loss. Fear of abandonment. Fear of rejection. We take it as a reflection of our own insecurity about our worthiness, anxiety about being adequate as a lover, and doubts about our own desirability. That's what jealousy is, at root. So what is it that bothers us so much when our girlfriend or wife has an affair with someone else? Let's explore that for a moment. Let's imagine you're in a relationship with a wonderful, wonderful girl. You've been together for a few years, and let's say you're married. You love each other immensely, but there is no longer any passion in your relationship.